Have you ever met someone who seemed to know everything, yet somehow got the most basic things wrong? Someone who speaks with absolute certainty, yet their decisions lead to chaos. Someone who dismisses others' opinions, convinced they are always right. There's a powerful psychological and spiritual truth behind this phenomenon, and it's not just about arrogance, it's about awareness. In today's episode of Spiritual Wisdom, we're diving into a powerful concept known as the Dunning-Kruger Effect and how overconfidence often masks ignorance. We'll explore why people who act like they know everything often understand the least, and what that means for your own growth, relationships, and spiritual journey. So if you've ever wondered why some people refuse to learn, reject advice, or insist on being right at all costs, this message is for you. Let's begin. The Dunning-Kruger Effect is a psychological bias where individuals with low ability at a task overestimate their ability. Simply put, the less someone knows, the more confident they tend to be in their knowledge. It was named after psychologists David Dunning and Justin Kruger, who discovered through research that people lacking competence in areas like logic, grammar, or humor were often the most confident in their abilities, even when proven wrong. This isn't just about intelligence, it's about self-awareness. And spiritually, this lack of self-awareness can be one of the greatest barriers to growth. Think about it. True wisdom comes from understanding how much you don't know. Those who are truly knowledgeable often speak with humility. They recognize the depth of any subject, the complexity of life, and the limitations of human understanding. But the overconfident? They speak as if life has no mystery, as if truth is simple and only they have access to it. They don't ask questions, they don't listen. They assume they already know everything worth knowing. And that's where the danger lies. Because when you believe you already know it all, you stop learning. When you stop learning, you stop growing. And when you stop growing, you become spiritually stagnant. Now, let's go deeper, not just psychologically, but spiritually. Many ancient teachings warn against pride and overconfidence. In spiritual traditions across cultures, humility is seen as the foundation of true wisdom. Proverbs 11:2 says, "When pride comes, then comes disgrace, but with the humble is wisdom." Jesus said in Matthew 18:4, "Whoever humbles himself like this child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven." Even in Eastern philosophies, Lao Tzu wrote, "He who knows he has enough is rich." True wisdom doesn't come from loud voices or bold claims. It comes from silence, from listening, from recognizing the limits of our understanding. Overconfidence is often a mask for insecurity. It's a way to cover up fear, uncertainty, and the discomfort of not knowing. But real strength, the kind that lasts, is found in those who admit they don't have all the answers. So why do overconfident people know less? Because they close themselves off to new perspectives. They surround themselves with yes men. They ignore criticism. They never question their assumptions. They confuse confidence with clarity and arrogance with authority. And in doing so, they cut themselves off from the very thing that leads to growth, truth. You see, the universe rewards curiosity, not certainty. Spiritually, the path to enlightenment begins with admitting we don't know everything. It begins with surrender, with the courage to say, "I was wrong," with the humility to ask, "What am I missing?" One of the most beautiful aspects of the human experience is that we are always learning. Every day brings a chance to grow, to change, to evolve. But that requires openness. It requires us to step outside of ourselves, to seek counsel, to embrace feedback even when it's uncomfortable. And it starts with recognizing that none of us have it all figured out. Even the wisest among us once knew nothing. Even the most enlightened had to start somewhere. The key is to stay teachable, to remain a student of life, because the moment you think you've learned it all, you stop learning. And the moment you stop learning, you stop living fully. I've met many people who believed they had all the answers until life taught them otherwise. People who refused to therapy until they hit rock bottom. People who refused to apologize until they lost someone important. People who preached without practicing until failure exposed their hypocrisy. These aren't signs of weakness. They're signs of being human. And the beauty of being human is that we can change. We can unlearn. We can relearn. We can grow. But only if we allow ourselves to be wrong. Only if we make space for doubt. Only if we accept that we don't know everything. So how do we guard ourselves against overconfidence? How do we stay grounded, humble, and open to growth? Here are 3 practical steps. 1. Practice humility daily. Remind yourself that you don't have all the answers. Ask questions. Listen more than you speak. Surround yourself with people who challenge you, not just agree with you. 2. Embrace constructive criticism. Instead of seeing criticism as an attack, see it as an opportunity. Ask yourself, is there truth in this? Can I learn something here? 3. Stay teachable. No matter how far you've come, keep learning. Read books, seek mentors, reflect, grow. Evolution is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of wisdom. Overconfidence may look strong on the surface, but it's often a sign of inner fragility. True strength comes from humility, from honesty, from the courage to admit we don't know everything. Because the more you realize how little you know, the more you begin to understand. And the more you understand, the more you grow. So if you're on a journey of growth, healing, or spiritual awakening, remember this. Wisdom begins with wonder. Growth begins with humility. And transformation begins with the willingness to say, I don't know. Thank you for watching. If this message resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more spiritual wisdom on truth, growth, and the inner journey. And if you're on this path, whether you're learning, healing, or seeking clarity, leave a comment below. I choose humility over ego. Until next time, stay grounded, stay curious, and keep walking your path with wisdom.